Hey, what's going on? I am here with another episode, and I'm going to be talking about, I saw an article about the best free agents in Ravens history. So I saw that and was like, I should just do that with my version. So mine's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to include a lot of the older players like you'll see or hear. There's no Shannon Sharp, no Kelly Gregg, no Tony Saragusa. I'm gonna leave those guys out of it, just because I was real young when all that was going down. Like I remember the first Ravens Super Bowl back in 2000. Like I remember being at the party, and I remember my parents getting into an argument because what I found out later is apparently my dad had a bookie there, but that's neither here nor there. And I was real young. Like for instance, in 2001, I was in first grade, so or second grade, depending on what time of year. So I'm just gonna put together my list, and they're uh they're more modern players. Like I said, none of the older guys. So let's see, how many do I have here? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I got 10. So to start off at number 10, hold on, let me pull this shit up. Bear with me. Okay, so at number 10, from 2007 to 2010, I have Willis McGahee, running back. He scored 35 touchdowns for us in that time, and he was a great player. He was awesome. He was great coming out of Miami. So we had a lot of Miami players back from when they had their dynasty, and it's weird now that we're going all Alabama because when they have their dynasty, I think that's probably a good thing. Get the dynasty players. But when we signed him, he was a good running back for a good little while until eventually Ray Rice kind of took over, and we know how that went until he beat his girl. But they're still together. Happy to see him. So Willis McGahee at number 10. At number 9, I have Daryl Smith, inside linebacker. He was huge, super underrated, just because he was an older guy. But he was the guy we needed because we got him right after Ray Lewis left, and so he was instrumental of trying to fill the shoes, which no one could ever do. C.J. Mosley's trying, but Daryl Smith, he actually had to do it. He made a bunch of tackles, several crazy interceptions in that 2012 lead up. Was he in the Super Bowl? Was he there that year? I think he was. Or was he there the year after? No, yeah, I think he signed the year after everyone left. So he wasn't there, but he made a lot of plays, tons of tackles, tons of production before we got C.J. Mosley. So he was only here for 3 years, 2013 to 2015. So we signed Mosley in 2014, and then he left in 2015 because he was too old. Like he was proven a little bit too old. And then next at number 8, the oldest guy I think I got on here was quarterback Steve McNair, and I included him on this list because he was only here for 2 seasons, or 2006, 2007, but he was here in 06 when we had that huge 13-win season, the best in Ravens history. I think that might have been because of the defense, and I don't know why that the team never went anywhere. Probably because he did so poorly in the playoffs. But he was the first good quarterback I remember seeing. Like, oh look, wow, we signed another guy. What do you know? Awesome. But he actually produced and played pretty well. So I was excited, so I included him on that list. And at number 7, I have your boy Eric Weddle. He's currently still on the team. He signed back in 2016, and the defense has been top 10 since he's been here. And I think he really shored up the safety position because for years, we tried we drafted Terrence Brooks and Matt Elam to try to replace the production that Ed Reed gave us, but we couldn't. We just kept drafting busts, and we kept signing free agents who didn't work out. I'm trying to think of their names. Like Will Hill, it's like he had some good games, but then he fucked up and got like a DUI, and they cut his ass. And then it doesn't matter. Eric Weddle was the best signing we had at safety, and he continues to be. Whether they keep him or not, I don't know. Still yet to be said, because he does have a pretty big cap hit, and he is getting older. But I think his production isn't there, but what he brings to the game mentally in coverage, it's kind of invaluable. So, on to what number are we on? Number 6, I have wide receiver Jacoby Jones. Now, he came over from, I want to say, the Texans, and he was on the team from 2012 to 2014. But he was huge in that Super Bowl. There would be no Super Bowl without him. He didn't do much as a wide receiver other than in the playoffs. He was our deep threat guy for a while when Joe Flacco was throwing haymakers in the playoffs. And in that Super Bowl, he ran one back. I don't know how many he ran back total. 6. Yeah. All right. So he got 6 touchdowns on special teams. That's huge. Plus the Mile High Miracle. And then, that one in the Super Bowl, I think that was right out of the half. That was huge. Yeah, I should have him higher up on the list, but I have too many receivers higher up on the list. So at number 5, going with outside linebacker, pass rusher Elvis Dumervil. We got him in 2013. I forget how long he played for us. I think till 2015, 2016, when we cut him, which I didn't think we should have cut him. I think it was just a money issue. But we signed him off that infamous fax machine snafu, and he got us 26.5 sacks, and that was huge. So when he and Terrell Suggs were on the field, they were the best pass rush duo at the time. They had the most. I don't remember how many, but they were the best pass rush duo, and they helped us continue that great defensive tradition that we seem to always have, which is great. So then moving on to number 4, I have Steve Smith Sr. Everyone knows Steve Smith Sr. He was only here for 2 years, but he averaged over 70 yards per game in those 3 seasons, even in his old age. And, he was kind of that spark that we needed, that pit bull on offense that we have never had, and it was great. I was surprised they even signed him because I thought John Harbaugh wouldn't want that kind of player in his locker room. But, soundbite Steve Smith Sr. was huge for us. And I really loved what he brought to the table and how awesome he was in the locker room for the guys. And just a great, fun guy to watch. And, a lot of our receivers, it's always been catch the ball and they're down. There's no run after catch. But with him, there was. And that was awesome. Awesome to watch. He's not as good of a commentator or analyzer of the game. Like on Sundays, he kind of says some crazy shit, and you're like, "Yo, Steve, what are you doing?" But it was good while he was playing. So moving on to number 3. No. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3. So I think I missed one. I think I miscounted somewhere. So I guess number 3. I have Matt Burke. He was here from 2009 to 2012, and we didn't pay him much, so that was a really good investment, and he was solid for us on the offensive line. And he was there for, I guess, that 4-season stretch where we made it every single year and onto the championship, and I think he was a big part of that. He was a great center, really solidified that center position that, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to figure out since, or at least it's just been one guy after another. I thought Ryan Jensen we would keep him, but damn near got the highest paid center contract in history. So who saw that coming? But oh well. Hopefully we get a center in this draft and we can keep him, and he's good, and we can keep him for not a record-setting amount of money. So then at number 2, I have wide receiver Derek Mason, and he was here from 2005 to 2010. And he's actually the franchise all-time leader in catches and yards. And he's actually third in receiving touchdowns. He was huge for the development of Joe Flacco. I think he was like one of the first like good wide receivers that we seem to pick up in free agency. The ageless wonders we like to grab. And he was the OG, I think, on the Ravens. Or at least in this list that I got. I'm not including a lot of the older guys just because I wasn't around really so much. So I don't want to include players and be like, oh, yeah, they were great. And not really even been watching them. I think that'd be dumb, I'm choosing players that I watched and saw with my own damn eyes. So Derek Mason, he was huge. He was always open. He was so crafty, man. That comeback run that he would always do, that button route, that was huge for us and Flacco, and really helped boost his numbers. And then, but he just, he's just too old, and eventually I think we cut him. He might have played somewhere else afterwards, or he might have retired. I'm not really too sure on that. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so, at number 1, my top free agent signing, which it's debatable, I have wide receiver Anquan Boldin. He was here from 2010 to 2012. He was instrumental in that Ravens Super Bowl. He was so clutch. One of the clutchest dudes the Ravens have ever had, and he was a free agency signing. Let's see. Yeah, so he caught those 4 crucial playoff touchdowns, and he kind of single-handedly took over some games and put the team on his back. Like he was always, it seemed like he was covered, but he's one of those dudes that Flacco just throw it up, and Bolden's going to catch it. And then that's why I have him number 1 on this list, because just like impact-wise, I was thinking of maybe putting like Steve Smith Sr. a little bit higher, maybe Jacoby Jones a little bit higher, but just clutchness and how instrumental he was to the team at that time. It's got to be Anquan Boldin. He produced more for the team, like game to game, like just watching. He was definitely the number 1. So that's gonna do it for my list here. If you enjoyed the show and you have questions, comments, concerns, if you want to get in touch with me, you want to ask me a question and have me answer it on the podcast, you can send me an email at csrpod@gmail.com. That's spelled CSRPOD@gmail.com. Or if you really, really like me, you can send me some money on Venmo. I'm in the need of some equipment to do this. I'm just doing this as like a spare time thing. So any money is appreciated. Hit me up on Venmo at Steven-Owings-1, and that's spelled STEPHEN-OWINGS-1. Thank you, and go Ravens.